Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Polish authorities are carrying out DNA testing after a dead whale was found in a protected nature reserve near the mouth of the Vistula River, an exceptionally rare site in the Baltic Sea. Now, the case comes amid a wider international debate over whale deaths, conservation policies, and commercial whaling quotas, with environmental groups warning that marine ecosystems are facing growing pressure on multiple fronts. Now, to discuss all this, we're joined by Agnieszka Machalica from Blue Patrol at the Worldwide Fund for Nature from Poland. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
Good morning.
Agnieszka, just give us your take really briefly. I mean, the Baltic Sea, that's not an environment generally we see for whales. Why is that, and what can we learn from that DNA testing apart from the species and why that matters?
I'm not exactly into the DNA test, so I think that the species is determined, and I cannot say what more. But I can share some information why Baltic is not, it's maybe not a hostile environment, but it's the environment that doesn't let them survive for a long time. As our sea is connected through Danish Straits and the North Sea with the Atlantic Ocean, any kind of whale can get into the area. The reason why they enter the area depends mainly on the species, because certain kind of whales carried by curiosity, they are more like explorers, and for example chasing the fish schools, they can just get into this. It's not that like rare situation, because whale appearances were documented since 13th century, and there are generally three the most popular species that enter our sea. All of them are baleen whales, so these kind of whales without teeth, but the baleen plate. And the most often seen, I think, 8 times since 13th century was humpback. The second place takes fin whale, and the third place goes to common minke whale. And all of them manage to survive or not in our environment. Yes, by sightings, I mean observing the animal alive or finding the dead body on it, or sometimes only the parts of the skeleton, like skull. And why it's a difficult environment. These are the animals that rather hunt and live on great depths. Our Baltic Sea is pretty shallow. It has different geography of the bottom, and this geography of the bottom is essential for navigating. Secondly, the food base is limited. Generally, we have like 2 groups of whales. Toothed whale that feed on cephalopods like squids. They have no food base here, as we have no squids here. The other group that feeds off little creatures, plankton, krill, they can find something here. There were cases of humpbacks that were seen hunting in our sea for pelagic fish, for example, sprat. So there are several cases where, for example, whales that appeared in our sea were entangled in the nets, but they were freed. They were heading back for Danish Straits, so back to freedom. So there are really many variables and factors depending on the species, on the size of the animal, and on its condition.
Mm-hmm. But I think you also highlighted there the curiosity of this incredibly intelligent mammal. We have to remember that as well. But nevertheless, you also pointed out the dangers. I mean, if we also look at not just the shallow part, but then also I think the shipping, the pollution. Kind of one thing I'm also curious now to look more globally now, Agnieszka. I mean, we have had and have observed more strandings of whales in Brazil, not just here in Europe, but other countries kind of simultaneously. So the question, if you can answer, is this, let's say, a warning sign of something more? Or this is now a problem? Are we seeing more of this? Or are we just getting better at reporting it?
I think we are better at reporting it. This is like one aspect. The second aspect is that more and more marine traffic is being observed. More and more like operations, underwater operations connected with, for example, military operations like sonar, like underwater explosions, yes, during searching for resources. And generally, I think in the past, all the kind of information wasn't spread that fast as we have like constant and instant access to it. So again, there are several factors. I have no statistics, so no data whether it is like more or less, yes, in the past. I can only observe what is happening here on our shore. But definitely there are some places where the bodies can be found, but it's also connected with the migration cycle, with the reproduction, like, I don't know how to say it. Whales are the animals that are long-distance migrators. Not all animals are strong enough to manage it, yes? So there are certain places when the bodies are being washed away because they were weakened, yes? There are also reproduction areas when male, for example, compete for females, and there are some fights. So those who lose, also weakened or wounded, yes, have to be washed away somewhere. Also, when they suffer from diseases, they go to the shallow water, so they don't have to fight against storms, currents, and generally bigger waves. So there is a risk of stacking, yes, in the shallow water.
And also, you mentioned the impact from sonar, also this noise pollution as well, potentially being a factor. And we've had more in terms of shipping, sonar, as you mentioned, some military exercises. How much is that, the scientific community, is that now more damaging than it was, let's say, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago?
I'm afraid I cannot answer this information because I have no data. We are in Blue Patrol because, you know, the bigger the animal, the greater attraction. But we are dealing with our whales are only visitors, rare visitors to our sea. Yes, we are dealing with the residents in our sea that are like seals and marine birds. And this is like what we deal with on everyday basis. Yes, we can go to some, for example, section. Yes, last year, me personally was in Wisełka because there was a case that the body of a whale was carried on a ship and it was washed away in Wolyński National Park. It was huge baleen whale, 15 meters long, and we were trying to excavate the skeleton, yes, for future representation. So in that cases, also some genetic exams are being taken. They try to decide what kind of species it was, because sometimes the decomposition of the body is that serious that you cannot say it from the features. So I cannot say if it is like more, the occurrence is more often than 30 years ago because we're not dealing with them on everyday basis.
All right, but you are tracking some of these whales. So then in terms of where they are, let's talk about migration. A lot of things in the environment, the ecosystem has changed. We've seen now climate change. We talk about a lot about that. So how much, if at all, has this impacted, let's say, some of these, the levels of migration? Are the whales impacted by this, the warming oceans? I mean, that must have some kind of impact on them.
Definitely climate change is impacting everybody, not only whales. Migration routes, it depends on the marine traffic. Marine traffic is increasing everywhere. Yes, in Baltic Sea, it is really high level of traffic, it's high level of noise pollution, it's a shallow water, so whenever something gets here, it is immediately impacted by that. I think that the salination is also the problem. I will talk about our sea again because the whales live on great depths and certain microbes create the flora on their skin, and it depends on the level of salinity in the water. Baltic Sea, the salination is like on very low level, so whenever they come into our area, they develop some skin diseases, yes, and then it develops even further, and they can suffer internally. So that's the story.
Okay. Another story I just want to get your sense of. I mean, it was also a major global story. I mean, in Germany, you had that whale that was also entangled, lost. There were a lot of efforts to try and rescue him. He'd been freed. What is the state of, I mean, they've lost contact now. Has he not survived, or what's your professional view on this?
Nobody knows. Theoretically, some kind of transmitter was attached to this whale, but I think, there were completely different plans for what to do with this whale. Certain experts thought it's dying and we should let it die. then the money helped and it would feed. Now there is no signal from it, but I think it had already skin disease, and it had because it was lying in low salinity water. So nobody knows. But I hope that if it dies somewhere deep, yes, with some dignity, not here, half uncovered, yes, and in the public eye of everybody. But
All right.
I think that we are not prepared for such actions because we don't have them often, and I don't think there is even any protocol how to deal in such situations. Secondly, every situation is individual, so it's difficult to prepare one procedure for all possible situations.
All right, so giving us the
But
latest.
nothing is heard about criminal, you know.
All right, so there's still, as you said, something rare, but that we are observing now, reporting on it more, and really some fascinating creatures that unfortunately are also impacted by our daily lives. Look, thanks for all that. Really appreciate it. Agnieszka Machalica there from WWF Poland. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation. Bye.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.